Wow. A Realm Reborn. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's done. I can't believe it's done. Oh my gosh, what they're hugging. Look at that. Oh, what a dramatic ending, man. Is Ishtola dead? Is Minfilia dead? You got ah it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good as an ending. Everything that they had built up, the humanity of it, crushed Alphanod. He thought, he was doing it for the right reasons. We were cleansing the land. We were doing all the good stuff. We were getting rid of the primals. We got rid of the Empire. We got rid of the Garlands. Not the Sid Garland. Sorry, not Galbadia. I keep forgetting the name of that. We got rid of Gaius. We got rid of Nero. We did the Crystal Tower. We did the Quails of Bahamut. We did the second Quails of Bahamut. We did the final Quails of Bahamut. We did all the extremes. We did everything in Realm Reborn. And when we were going to celebrate that victory, after doing everything in Realm Reborn, we were going to celebrate that victory of achieving peace in the land, and it shows the humanity of what happens. People just kind of, the brass blades that were put in charge, they kind of had a little bit of a mutiny. This is interesting. I'm so glad the story continues from here, and it was heart wrenching, to see Ishtola and Thancred, Ishtola doing some holy spell or something like that. And what did Minfilia hear from Hydaelyn? Why was she driven to run back to Thancred and Ishtola? And why would Hydaelyn do that? And why did Hydaelyn withdraw her blessing from the Warrior of Light? What's going on with all of this? What an interesting game. I'm really glad to know that there's 4 expansions. I've enjoyed everything that I've played. I've played all the content with the Realm Reborn. I got a little bit of book grinding for the Relic, but other than that, I've kind of done everything. I've leveled so many of my characters up to 1560. This is really cool. This is a really cool game. Highly recommend A Realm Reborn for anyone. And the game's free, I believe. You can play up to 50, I think even 60 with Heaven's Sword. You can play for free with a trial. I think it gives you 3 months for free. It's either 1 month or 3 months. I highly recommend it. Give it a try. The story is amazing. The cutscenes are a little bit long. The dialogue, if I were to critique it, the dialogue seems very confused. All these places are in close proximity, but even within the same city, you'll have people who use Old English, like tis and thouist and stuff like that, and then you'll have people who use regular English. So if I were to be critical of the game, it would be, I wish that they had a kind of single take in terms of what language they would use. Besides that kind of consistency in dialogue, maybe they could have shortened it. There was a lot of filler that people talked about between levels 1 and 40. But really, when it got to level 45 to 50, the quest got a lot more meaningful in the 40s. But before the 40s, it was very kind of, after the 30s, you start fighting some primals. But, prior to 30, it's a joke. You can get to level 10 very easily. Just doing small quests, watching out crates and stuff. But, I was completely fine with the leveling process. Maybe that's because of the different bonuses they put in. I hear it's a lot quicker than it used to be upon release. But this is one of my tough spots. Hey, good night, Ace Trainer Kevo. Thank you. I'm just doing my review. That'll be up on YouTube as well. If you don't catch the end of my review here, you can catch it on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining the stream. You guys have toughed it out. In the last 3 days or so, there's been probably 12 to 15 hours of streaming. And overall, this is probably going to be a 40-hour Realm Reborn stream. And I think I only started at a level 30. I didn't stream the first very beginning parts, unfortunately. I had no idea what I was doing, though. So I didn't want to start a stream without being intentional. But yeah, no, this is exciting. There was so much to do. You know, one thing I wish I dove more into was the crafting classes. I only got to level 15 or 17 with some of them. I just didn't care. There was so much gil, and I didn't really need to use gil for anything, that it ended up being fine. I also think that you know, the characters were riveting. I didn't really start caring about them until the quests in the 40s and 50s, and I wish that would have happened earlier. We weren't even introduced to the Scions until level 25 or so, probably 25 or 30. I think 30 was probably the first Scion quest. But highly recommend. There's so many side quests I still need to do. Like, for example, I haven't done any chocobo racing. There's still have to explore the gold saucer. So I'll still be dabbling, but, you know, with the Realm Reborn, but pretty much I've exhausted the content, which I'm glad I did. It's kind of nice that it forced you to do Crystal Tower, which, you know, just to do a quick review of Crystal Tower, it's these 24-man raids, 3 8-person parties, which, you know, was a little intimidating. I wasn't sure I could get through it. But I guess they're on daily roulettes now, so they're actually pretty easy. People just kind of walk through them, just like a lot of the other roulettes. So yeah, it was different, because when I think 24-person raid, I did play WoW from 2005 to 2010. I was second down on my server for those 5 or 6 years. And so when I think 24-person raid, I think, man, I gotta really know what's going on. These raids were more spectacles. You know, giant bosses, huge bright lights. There's a very cinematic feel to all of this. This could easily be an anime. In fact, I think, with the most compelling cutscenes being later on, this probably could have just been a standalone anime, with introducing the characters at level 30 and saying, you know, how do they interact with each other? What are their motivations? This could be just a standalone light novel or anime. Maybe it serves better as a game. I'm not sure for the main story. Yeah, there's this Toa in the hand. It's either the no emote, or she's casting that barrier that protects from that attack in the banquet hall. You can see Yida in the background going, ah. But this is, yeah, Yishtola was probably my favorite Scion. Uranji, this, you know, is pretty good. They're all really memorable, Thancred. I'm hoping they're not all dead. They want, you know, if I only had a Realm Reborn and I stopped playing after this, I would just assume they all died. And that this was more of a comment on overcoming. We think the threats are the primals, these beastmen that will topple society, but it ends up being people within their own society that topple their society. It's a shame that right before they moved to democracy, what happened in Nanamo, yeah, that was pretty tough, but I think it might have been a comment on who the real threat is. You know, it's ourselves. It's going to come within the walls, not outside the walls. The amount of espionage is pretty interesting. And man, the death of that carpet, man, nothing's gonna get that stain out of the carpet. Jokes aside, though, very good game. I mean, 9 out of 10. I just wish that they would have gotten to the good pieces sooner, and I wish that they would have. And that's partially my fault because I didn't pay attention to the main story quest for a while. I kind of was floating around. I didn't understand the symbols. There were blue quests and class quests and job quests and all these other quests. But, you know, I have a hang of it now, but it just took a little bit of time. The game also assumes that you, maybe that you look up some stuff to figure out the lore. This will make references to things once, and then will rarely highlight it again. So if you missed it in that one dialogue piece, you know, you might have to look up the lore later. Shiva was a really interesting fight. Some notable fights. Cerberus was pretty fun in the Alliance raid. Xandi, XIVe was pretty fun. I mean, of course, the final turn of the final coil of Bahamut was pretty fun. What else was fun? Oh my gosh. Amphidur, is that the name of the dungeon? I really like that dungeon. I like the detail. I like the one that was cold and had the dragon fly back and forth. Those mechanics were pretty easy though. What else was very memorable? I mean, just the scale of the Crystal Tower fighting, just the scale and theatrics and cinematics of everything. It was all very, very beautiful. And finally, what else was there? I mean, the crafting I didn't get much into. I didn't, even though there are market boards, I felt like I didn't need to upgrade anything. You don't really need the best gear for most of the fights. Now, maybe that's because they've lowered the difficulty, but I felt that wasn't, I wasn't struggling at any point in the game. So, unless I really wanted to save it. And the main story quest, it gives you about 1 million gil. I had about 1 million gil by the time I was done with it. I would have had more if I flew everywhere. But I was greedy and I just kept teleporting. So that's probably, heck, I've probably done 250,000 in teleporting alone. Maybe even more. But actually, yeah, maybe more. Maybe 500,000. 250,000 to 500,000 of teleporting through ARR. What a beautiful game. What an interesting game. You can tell there's a lot of love put into it. Thank you everyone for, stopping by and watching. I had so many different people jump into the stream and show their excitement. And some people stopped by for 10 hours or so. Whoever watched me stream this for 5 hours, 10 hours, it was crazy. But thank you so much for doing so. Yeah, I highly recommend at least download it and try it. Let's see. Just to also sum it up, I preferred playing white mages in dungeons. Healing I found pretty simple in this game compared to World of Warcraft. I felt like in WoW, maybe because I did a lot of high-end content, it was more difficult to heal. Here, as a healer, half the time you're doing damage. So I felt like there was far less of an emphasis on like just doing pure healing. I felt like I was never behind the ball on healing. If anything, I felt like I always had time to rotate in damage. So healing seems to be a little bit easier. And the healers do damage. I see in this picture the white mage not only has the level 45 white mage gear on, or it might be level 40 white mage gear, I think it's 45, but also the relic staff, it looks like. The Zenith, maybe, version of it. But yeah, you can tell that there's a lot of passion put into A Realm Reborn. I'm so excited that I got to play this and stream this game. I appreciate everyone who took the time to make it and have it available. It's aged very well, considering I think it re-released in 2014, about 9 years ago. So it's a decade old, but it still holds up. People just keep telling me it gets better from here, so maybe the fights will add new mechanics. I'm not sure what to expect. I know there are a couple new classes, like Dark Knight. I do have Gun Blade, or Gunbreaker. So, I guess I'll get Dark Knight, and I think I get something else, I can't remember. Machinist. And then, anything exciting? Let's see. Shadowbringers, I got Red Mage and Ul'dah. But I'm excited to see some new cities, see some new lands, see where the story develops. What happens to this islands? What happens with Nidhogg and Ishgard? I'm guessing that's what Heavensward is about. And then I'll move on to, not Dawnbreakers, that's the name of an old World of Warcraft guild. not Sinister, not Dawnbreakers. Dawn. So Shadowbringers, Blood something? Not Bloodborne, I can't remember. Anyways, you got Heavensward, Dawn something. And then you have Shadowbringers, and then you have Endwalker. So I can't remember what one of those is, but I'm excited to work my way through those 4 expansions. I wonder if they'll be as long as A Realm Reborn. I don't think so, because I bought those expansions. Some of my characters are already above level 60, so that should make the questing pretty quick in Heavensward, unless they level sync some of it through different duties. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited to share that stream. I'm going to put it under a different playlist on YouTube. But I appreciate, all the music and support. And this is definitely me kind of stepping outside of my normal streaming content to do something a little more JRPG-ish. Total hours for me, to be honest, I probably played this about 70 to 80 hours before completing. So, take that for what you will. If it's 70 hours of playtime, if you just do the main story quest, it'll probably be 50. So, buckle up for 40 to 50 hours. I did watch the cutscenes. If you skip the cutscenes, it'll shorten it by probably 10 hours. You could probably completely speedrun this for like 30 hours or less. I'm not sure who'd want to speedrun A Realm Reborn, but I'm sure there's a category for it. This is a pretty long credits, but you can tell that compared to the first ending, because this is obviously after patch 2.6 or whatever the patches were for A Realm Reborn, this is after that second ending. You can tell that there's a lot more people who worked on this compared to the first ending. At least it looks that way. So, I can't remember what I gave the ending to the first A Realm Reborn. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. And this, I think, is a little bit better. I think this is probably 8.5 to 9. I know I already said 9, but... so many artists. Yeah, I'm excited for Heavensward, excited for the expansions. I know they're still coming out with updates. But thank you all for, inspiring me to play this, and thank you for all the suggestions. So many people suggested that I try it. And, eventually I'll do Ultimates. Savage and Ultimates. That's kind of the end goal. I want to do high-end grading. But it might take me another half year to a year, but, I'll get to that point. And I'm not really in that much of a rush. I want to enjoy it, really seep into this. Makes you wonder if this will have another 10 years of support. I think it might, because the story is so good, and their systems are pretty in place. The sound system is Epic Game Tools. 2013 is when it released, I'm sorry. And anyways, wonderful game. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for listening to this review. Special thanks. Let's see if I'm on here. No, I end up Mr. Housing. I love it. Yeah, the housing system is really fun. If you get invited to an FC, my advice is to not just say yes to the first one that you're invited to, because there are some people who just hang out and spam invites. Talk to some people in it first. Haku Hudo Inc. Haku Hudo. Incorporated. Yeah, it's fantastic. You just tell a lot of time and effort was put into this. Anyways, I hear that they're expanding the number of servers. I hear that you're allowed to create a personal island with a 6.2 update. I think this is probably 2.6 or whatever it is. But this, I think, is the ending of all the various patches that came out after the original Realm Reborn. Not in 1.0, but 2.0. Production executive. Produced by Squeenix. When I was a kid, I used to call him Squeenix. I did play some Final Fantasy games when I was a kid. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. I wonder what this is. What is this?
All has been arranged as you desired, my lord.
It's been arranged? I wonder what this is. Evil. Yeah. What is going on here? Oh, Reborn. He's still alive without an arm? How did they stop the bleeding? He's got that hatred. Is he gonna be like Gladiator? Is he gonna come back and beat up everyone? It's Yasin. Dun 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 dun. So this is what progress is, huh? Didn't this happen last time? Adora is not too broken. Perhaps is not wholly mistaken. Greater haste may be warranted. Northern lands, then. Earth is fertile and seeds will sown. Shall reap salvation, yeah. Elidibus, by his will. So there were a bunch of them that we saw standing in a circle. There's La Habrea. There we go. I've answered thy summons, emissary. Speak and make thine intent known. What's going on here? What's going on here? Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I would speak of fate, Archon. Yours, mine, the fate of this very star.